What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and welcome to the very first episode of Let's Play StarCraft 2. Well, I say this is the first episode, but really it's technically not. I say that because I'm not actually going to be playing StarCraft 2 today so much as talking a little bit about what this LP is going to look like. And the reason for that is because StarCraft 2 is a very odd game to be LPing. It's the first and probably one of the only games I'll ever LP where the multiplayer is actually much bigger than the single player. Usually games that focus on multiplayer, they don't have the best single player ever, but that's very much not the case for StarCraft 2. But, needless to say, the StarCraft 2 multiplayer scene, the competitive multiplayer, is just huge. It's massive. And because of that, I kind of want to talk a little bit about what this LP is going to look like. And because, it has such a focus on multiplayer that this game has like a bajillion different ways to play it, and the skill ceiling for StarCraft 2 is exceptionally high. So, I guess the point that I want to really drive home most here is that for this LP, and really all of the LPs that I do, I have a very specific focus for how I do these things. So the LPs that I do, they're never designed to be, definitive walkthroughs. They're not supposed to be like super in-depth, this is how you play the game, this is all the tips and tricks and secrets and all that. They're not supposed to be demonstrations of, crazy skill or speed or whatever. None of my LPs are any of that. The entire reason that I do LP series is to kind of share in the experience of playing games with my viewers. Because, gaming is my passion, and I love playing video games, and I want to share that with anyone who's willing to watch. And I feel like that's an especially important point to make when it comes to StarCraft 2, because there is such room for having very specialized like strategies and lots of different levels of skill and stuff like that. And I'm not going to be worrying too much about demonstrating the best way to play the game or the highest amount of skill, because I don't have the highest amount of skill. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that I am going to be playing on normal difficulty. You can see, of course, there are 4 difficulties here, and I'm going to be playing on normal. And there's a few reasons for that. But I want to make very clear that the reason I'm playing on normal is not because I can't play on harder difficulties. Those of you who may be familiar with the portraits in StarCraft 2 may notice I have this Sarah Kerrigan portrait right here. And that, of course, is the portrait that you unlock for completing the game on, or rather completing every mission on brutal difficulty. If we go to my profile here, we can see I have this little badge for completing everything on brutal. So it's not a matter of I can't beat the game on brutal. It's more... See, the thing about StarCraft 2 is that it's a very fast-paced game. And if you're not 100% exactly sure of what everything is and what's going on, it can be very quick, or it can be very easy to kind of get lost when you're watching someone else play. It's very different watching someone play and watching someone else watch like a replay or something. And so my main goal with playing on normal difficulty is to kind of make the game, or make this LP series more accessible. So for one, I guess there's a couple ways that it does that. And for one, it means that playing through the missions, I'm not required to go like as quickly and as like jumping all over the place and doing a bajillion things at once as I would be on brutal difficulty, and that just makes it easier to watch for people who aren't quite as familiar as StarCraft. And on the other side of things, because I record these voiceover things while I'm playing the game, playing on normal just gives me a lot more room to kind of play and commentate at the same time without really having to compromise either one of them too much. Because, let me tell you, on Brutal difficulty, I'm nowhere near good enough to commentate and play on Brutal at the same time. So, well, I mean, I guess if I really tried, I probably could, but I think normal is just the best way to go for me. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is that there's a lot of kind of little things to do here and there in StarCraft 2 that kind of make this a bit of a challenging LP series time-wise, because, you know, I could spend like half an hour between every mission just talking to all the NPCs and, you know, discussing all of my thoughts on every little thing, and, you know, this is why I chose this instead of this. And the fact of the matter is, this is a side LP, and I don't want it to be exceptionally long. So, for the most part, I'm probably going to skip by a lot of that kind of in-between mission stuff, like chatter and all that. I'm obviously going to kind of talk about all the different upgrade paths and stuff that I take, which, if you're not familiar with the campaign, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that. But the point, I guess, what I'm trying to say here is, basically, I'm going to try to fit every mission into a single episode, however long that episode ends up being. And that's another benefit to actually playing on normal, is that the missions will probably be a little bit faster as well, because on Brutal, a lot of the missions you have to take a lot more time to kind of gradually build up your army and stuff before you can make like that final push, whereas on normal mode you can end the missions a lot quicker a lot of the time. But more importantly, what I was trying to say was that I'm probably going to try and fit all the missions into a single episode each, just because I don't feel like there's the same kind of room to split each individual mission up into multiple episodes the same way I could with, say, Ogre Battle. Just because the missions are so much faster, and I feel like if I split them up, you would get a lot more lost than you would in a slower game like Ogre Battle 64. And hopefully, I can fit in like the story and picking upgrades and stuff like that before and or after every mission as well. So the episodes in this series are probably going to end up being fairly long, but that's, I don't know. I mean, I want to say that's probably something more concerning on my side of things, just because it means more time recording, more time editing, more time uploading. I don't know that people really care all that much if they're watching a 20-minute episode or a 30-minute episode. Some of these episodes are probably going to be, most of them are probably, I would estimate, going to be somewhere in the 20 to 30-minute range. So there's that. But anyways, I think I'm about done kind of talking about that stuff at this point. So, oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Achievements. So like I said, this playthrough is not necessarily designed to be like a definitive walkthrough of the game, and a lot of the achievements are not achievements that you can even get on normal mode. A lot of them will require that you play through on hard and stuff like that. But so I'm not going to be guiding people to every single achievement, but I will be trying to, at the very least, kind of point out where to get achievements and how best to do it. But I wouldn't count on me doing so for every achievement, or for that matter, even remembering what every single achievement is. So I guess that's just another heads up. And now I guess what I want to say next is StarCraft 2 is of course the sequel to the original StarCraft. So I guess I kind of tend to be a little bit of a stickler for playing through games kind of in order, and that, for the most part, that is more or less true, I guess, for LPs as well. Like I don't really feel like I would much prefer play through the first game and then the second game, just so that the story isn't like out of order and stuff. The first StarCraft doesn't have the best campaign ever, though. Well, I mean, the story of the first campaign is good, but it's not, playing through it isn't quite as interesting, I feel. And so, I'm just gonna be kind of jumping into the story head first here. So, hopefully that's not much of a problem for anyone. For the most part, I think they craft the story of StarCraft 2 so that it's fairly understandable for newcomers. There might be some nuances that some people don't quite catch, but when I feel it's appropriate, I will at the very least try and fill in a little bit if need be. But yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyways, I think that's about all that I really had to say here. So, that's about it for what I will be calling episode 0 of Let's Play StarCraft 2. So, I will catch you next time for the very first mission. Catch you later.